Your hair looks fantastic, by the way.
I know. I just woke up and it's fucked up.
We could, yeah. Were you saying only wanted to recap the two games?
Do you want to do it like one game at a time, or do you guys want to just kind of
I
talk
think
about it
we
as
can
a
just
whole?
kind of talk about the games because they're I think very similar to games 2 and 3 are both very similar. Obviously, like I said, there was the big comeback in game 2, but I think the way we won was pretty similar. We had the Jays making a lot of tough shots. We had our role players stepping up, and the defense on Kyrie and KD has just been like I couldn't have predicted. Like I keep waiting. It might happen in game 4, but I keep waiting for like one of these guys to go off for 40 because we know the type of scores they are. But Kevin Durant looks defeated at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they're just making every shot tough. I was talking to Zane earlier about how Tatum's game has evolved, and I feel like it was hard to imagine like his ceiling because at least for me, I didn't really consider him stepping into that like elite defender role. Like you think of him continuing to excel offensively, but I mean, he's scoring 35 and locking Durant up. That's a whole new like I guess star to superstar, if you will.
8 assists game 1, 10 assists game 2.
Like
Yeah,
he's
the
dishing the rock. Yeah.
and that's what we talked about earlier in the year with like the superstars, where it's like it's frustrating, and we had two guys that were all-star caliber players, and he and Jalen, but like true stars, like guys that win a championship, even when they're having off nights, they can still impact the game in so many ways, and that's what we're kind of seeing with Tatum now that like he wasn't doing before. Like even when isn't shooting well, he's been such a playmaker. He attracts so much attention. He obviously is playing like honestly, like defense player of the year level caliber defense on Kevin Durant. Like I think this is the best I've ever seen Kevin Durant guarded in a series. I'll pull up the stats that show just like the dominance. I shared a little bit on our Twitter page where he has as many, I believe as many made field goals as many points scored. I think as many points scored as turnovers on Tatum so far in the series.
Wow.
Which is just like crazy. And yeah, I mean, he's been a superstar player, and it's great to see. And we're winning we're winning without probably, I would say, Rob's probably our fourth best player, and we're beating a team that has two guys that are been perennial All NBA, All Star caliber players. And as the games go on, like in the fourth quarter, I feel more confident later in games, like in close games, come like we can just burn them out. Like we're just tiring them out with like the defense. Like you can tell by the end of the game, Durant and Kyrie, they're just exhausted because they're getting worn down every single possession by the defense.
And then go ahead, Noel.
I was just going to say it's hard to think of another team whose four best players are also their four best defenders. And with the Jays, Marcus, and Rob, that's the case for us. Like our four best players are our four best defenders.
I don't know. Like I think Jalen's probably our fifth or sixth best defender. Like I think it's that crazy. I think he's that good, but I think like Derek White is just a phenomenal perimeter defender. Like he's one of the best. I think it's kind of gets forgotten about because like if he would have stayed in San Antonio, he very likely could have been on an all defensive team. Like his defense was that good. His defense is that good. He's made all defensive teams in the past.
Well, my point was our stars are not any sort of liabilities. Whereas most
don't have
teams, you know, Curry, Trae Young, a lot of these guys, they're not their best defenders.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. I gotta show you. Shout out Grant Williams.
Okay, yeah.
And Pritchard.
And PP, yeah.
No, let's shout out just Grant Williams for right now because let me see.
Matt, you came up with a point that the defense was just like suffocating and beating up on Kyrie and KD each time. But that last night in the game, there was just a stretch where the defense was doing their thing, like clamping down whoever had the ball, except for Bruce Brown apparently. And it was just like there was a stretch where Jaylen Brown went to the rim on like 6 straight possessions and no one could stop him. And then he would cut to the rim, step back, make a 3. Like that's I think that the entirety of the game, not just on the defensive side of the ball, the Celtics were suffocating Brooklyn. Like Tatum didn't even have to touch the ball during a 6 to 8 possession run in that. I think it was the fourth quarter, or it might have been late third. But Tatum didn't even have to touch the ball, and he still scored 39 last night. And there was a stretch where he wouldn't touch the ball. I just think that the aggressiveness hasn't been matched on Brooklyn's end.
Constant driving pressure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has, but I think they just fade towards the end of the game because they don't have the dog. Like I think for a lot of it, I think a lot of the guys on Brooklyn have really played very well defensively. In the first half, I think they just wear down, and that's when you start to see the Jaylen Brown getting opportunities to go to the rim because they're just so worn down and tired because they're not the defenders. They don't have the capability, even though they're putting that effort like the Celtics, and they're beating them up on the other side. And by the end of the game, all the Nets players, all their key players are worn down, so they don't have enough energy and enough left in the tank to be able to guard these guys. Do you see my screen right now? Do you see the?
No.
Oh my god, I fucking hate this. I'm so bad at doing this.
Give your Grant shout out.
You gotta go to system preferences. I can't do that right now. Okay, so I can't share your screen. Shout out Grant though. So I have an NBA stats pulled up. Grant defensively has been matched up with Kevin Durant for 38 possessions. He's allowed 10 points, and Durant is shooting 33% from the field against him. He has other numbers against him. The other one I mentioned is Kyrie. He's been matched up on Kyrie on 19 possessions, and Kyrie has scored 4 points, and he's shooting 2 for 9. Grant's ability, and he had obviously I think 17 in game 2 on perfect shooting. Grant's ability just to be that he's a 3-and-D player, an incredible 3-and-D player.
That game 2 was 100, 100, 100 field 3 free throw. All 100%.
Yeah, and also like I said, he's playing that elite defense. He is pissing off Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is not happy with what Grant Williams is doing. He's frustrated. He's very frustrated. Since you can't share my screen, I might as well go off on these stats. Yeah, Tatum, like I say, he scored 10 points on Durant scored 10 points on Tatum in 121 possessions, and he has 10 turnovers, and he's shooting 2 for 15 from the field, and 0 for 4 from 15. He is 2 for 15 against Tatum, 2 assists, 10 turnovers, 0 for 4 shooting. I think Tatum's blocked him 3 times. Yeah. The second highest offender we mentioned, Grant. And then Jaylen Brown's had the third most minutes on Kevin Durant. He's holding him to 4 for 10 shooting. So not incredible, but still not bad defense. Kyrie, obviously we have our deep point, Marcus Smart, has been clamping up Kyrie. On 97 possessions, Marcus Smart's allowed only 18 points on 4 for 15 shooting with 1 assist. He's been 2 for 9 from 3. 8 of those 18 points have come from the free throw line for Kyrie. So they haven't been able to do anything against their best guys. When we have our matchups with them, I think he's 1 for 4 against Derek White. So we have the guys to defend these elite stars. And I think it's going to continue. Obviously we know next round, it looks like we're probably going to play the Bucks.
Yeah.
We know Al's one of the best Giannis defenders that there is. Obviously it's hard to stop Giannis. Chris Middleton's out, which has always been a headache for us. But then we have
Chris Middleton is a Celtics killer.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna be out for that whole series. And then we have Marcus Smart and Derek White to guard Drew Holiday or Grayson Allen, who's played well so far. But
Drew Holiday is not that offensive weapon that he once was.
No, he's definitely lost a step. What are you gonna say, Nolan?
I'm pretty sure that we didn't show Rob against the Bucks once this year. I'll have to check that, but I'm pretty sure that Giannis hasn't seen Rob yet this year.
I can do a little dive if you'd like.
One Pritchard shout out I wanted to give. He is shooting 89% on true shooting, which maybe you can explain that in a second, Matt. But he's shooting 89%, averaging 8 points, and that's in 12 minutes a game this series. Pritchard's been such a huge spark off the bench.
Yeah. And true shooting, all it does is just weight the 3-pointers is equal to weighting the 2-pointers. It's every percentage point for 3 is 1.5% compared to 1% from 2. So there's ways. I think he has. I think I also saw another one today where Kyrie has 26 points this year, or 26 points the last 2 games, and Pritchard in 83 minutes, and Pritchard in 27 minutes has 21 points.
Yeah,
So
it's ridiculous.
He's an absolute bucket, and it seems like the one surprise I would say from this series, like I think most of what we're doing is what we've seen all year. I do think that we're shooting a lot better from 3 than I don't know if the stats are necessarily back it up or hitting the big ones. But it seems like we've just been hitting a ton of threes, and like Pritchard, Grant, Allen Tice hit a couple, at least hit one yesterday a piece. But even them are shooting better. Marcus Smart shooting with confidence, which is good to see. I don't think Derek White's really found his groove yet from 3, but I think all of our guys are doing enough to impact the game on both ends of the court.
It's also go ahead, Emery. Did you figure it out?
Yeah, the last time the Bucks saw Rob Williams was Christmas Day.
Okay.
So probably once. I think that was the first.
So they only played him once.
There were 2 games, 2 December games that they played, but there was one where Rob Williams played like 16 minutes or something like that. On the middle of December something.
Either way, I feel pretty confident, especially like Grant's been playing defensively and Al. Like I think we have the bodies for Giannis and Tate. We could throw Tatum on there too sometimes for some different looks. I feel pretty confident that we have at least the guys, the best equipped. Obviously, it's gonna be hard to stop Giannis, but I feel pretty confident we'll have guys that can at least do a pretty good job against him. And with Chris Middleton out, I really like our chances if we do match up with the Bucks next round.
It's awesome how this squad is so drafted within house too. Like Rob, Pritchard, and Grant were all late first round picks, and then obviously the Jays and Marcus, and like Tyson Al we returned. Like it's such a Celtic squad between either drafting them or being former players.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys like we've grown up. We've seen them grow and develop. Well, except for the case of Al, where we kind of saw him. We got him as an established star, but we've seen him kind of age very gracefully.
Yeah.
And
how old did you say Al Horford was? Is he 35 years old?
36. Yeah.
That guy is flying around like a 28-year-old.
Oh, yeah, he had like a year in Oklahoma City where he just got to chill for a whole year. That helped the knees.
Exactly, it does help the knees.
And Tice not even getting minutes in Houston, and now he's just a beast for us.
Yeah, in the starting lineup of the hottest team in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It is crazy. It's just like this is a team, and it's like it's built on defense. We have an identity, which is cool to see. We have a guy that's one thing we've worried about with Tatum and with Brown. We're like, okay, who's going to be the star? Like we can have multiple all-stars, but you need a star, you need a guy that's going to be a top 10 player in the league. And I think we're seeing this game as kind of a lot of people are saying it's a passing of the torch between Tatum and Durant. It looks like Tatum is turning into that kind of MVP, first team All NBA guy, as opposed to where Durant's beginning to age. I think Durant's like 34, 35 now too.
He's an old guy, old cat.
Yeah, he was older than I thought he was. And I was like, wow, that's kind of surprising. But no, I mean, it's a little bit like the passing of the torch. It's cool to see the Celtics, even if it's not this year, which I think we have a really good shot this year based on some of the injuries that have happened throughout. And Embiid's hurt right now. Booker's hurt right now.
Durant's 33.
Durant's 33. I know, yeah, but still, he's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah,
he's like kind of maybe a passing of the torch series, or maybe Tatum just doesn't look back from here and just becomes that guy that's a near 30-point scorer that averages 8 boards and 6 assists and is making all defensive teams and coming top 5 in MVP like that. This could just be the leaping off point. I feel like every year Tatum kind of takes another leap around this time, second half of the year into the playoffs. And let's hope he can continue that going forward throughout these playoffs.
Something I wanted to point out from last night, Al Horford only shot the ball 2 times. He was 1 for 2 from 3 points on the end of the night. Like, it's so drastic because you saw him in game 1. What did he have in game 1? Like 26, something like that.
20 plus,
yeah. There's just so many options. I mean, go ahead, Matt. You got something to say?
Yeah, he's just not gonna like hurt you with a poor shooting night. Like he's gonna take what's given to him. If nothing's given to him, like he's like, okay, I'm gonna be the facilitator. I'm gonna play great defense. I'm gonna rebound. I'm gonna do my job. Like I just want to win, and we have so many of those guys that can step up and like you were just saying, like we have so many guys that can hurt you. Like even coming off our bench, like Grant's not a volume scorer, but he's still a guy. He's got 17 points in a playoff game. You still have Pritchard that can score, can get hot and hit 3 straight threes coming off the bench. So we have a lot of guys that can create their own shots, which I know is like very big in the playoffs. I don't think Grant's really a shot creator, but still guys that can hit shots when you need them to.
Do you, I remember talking earlier in the season, like, why is Peyton Pritchard not in the lineup? Do you think that it was, I don't know, any like some sort of longevity move, like he would be fresh now? Do you think it was just that he couldn't like?
Well, I remember we had the conversation at the trade deadline when we moved Schroeder, and we kind of said like, because Pritchard started slow, but we said Pritchard and Neesmith are going to battle for sort of this last roster spot. And I think Pritchard just picked it up second half and sort of earned the spot, and now he's excelling in it. So why would, Ime change it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that his caliber of offense has always been there, and he just hadn't been afforded the opportunity at the beginning of the season. I know before you got on here, Nolan, Matt and I that was one of our main concerns. Like, we saw Pritchard through the whole Kemba issue where he didn't play back-to-backs, things like that. He would come step up, play big minutes as a backup guard. And then Ime took over and Pritchard got garbage time minutes. Like,
I think he can be a defensive liability. Like, I like how Ime's using him situationally. Like, you'll see him on Mills or Dragic.
Yeah.
So I guess it could have been something with matchups, but I agree. I'm glad it sort of changed its direction now, and that he's playing well, because I was sad he wasn't getting run too.
And I think go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'm just gonna piggyback kind of what you said, Noel. I think it's just Ime's growth as a coach. Like, I think he's just understanding now, like, okay, I think he thought maybe Schroeder might have been the better player, but now he's realizing, okay, it's not about the better individual player. It's like, now we have this identity, and you see everything's team identity, team oriented, like what can be the best for the team. And I think we said this at the trade deadline, like, even if I don't know why I said this so weird, but even if Schroeder's a better player, like I think Pritchard is going to be better for this team because he has the spacing, because he's not a guy that's going to demand the ball a lot. Like, I think it's not even a talent thing. I just thought team-wise it made more sense for Pritchard. And I think Ime's just growth as a coach, and I think we saw that with him not being afraid to change the closing lineups the last couple nights. He's just really grown as a coach, and he's easily out coaching Steve Nash in the series.
Absolutely. And to go off that like closing lineup, I've seen Twitter was ablaze with the what was it? Tatum, Grant, Rob, Pritchard, and then someone else lineup at the end of the night. Like the chemistry between Pritchard and Grant and Tatum, especially those three right there, has been very fun to watch and has proven to be like a legitimate option for both offense and defense, where Jaylen can get a little bit of rest, Marcus can get some rest, and the energy won't dip, the consistency won't dip, things like that. So,
yeah. I mean, aside from Derek White, like, all these guys have played together for multiple years now.
Right.
So, and Kyrie mentioned it. He's like, you can't teach the chemistry. There's no way to make it up. Like, these guys just gel with one another. And it's like, and that's with having Tyson Horford back here. It's like they didn't miss a step. Like, they are comfortable with all those guys. The only guy that's not with him is Derek White, who I believe played with them on the Team USA team that played in the World Cup a couple of years ago. Yeah. But Derek White's not a guy that's going to be a selfish player, and he's a guy that understands kind of the team first thing. But these guys are so comfortable with each other. Like, it does feel like they're not missing a step no matter what their rotation. The lineups they have in there are.
I think one more thing with Pritchard. It's interesting how the scoring has come in such waves. Like in game 3, I think he checked in with a few minutes to go in the first quarter, and he just got hot, and Ime ended up letting him ride to the like 4-minute mark of the second quarter. So I like how Ime doesn't have like set minutes per se. I know there's some sort of direction, but he's willing to let lineups that are working flow. And I think another reason that Pritchard closed that game too was he might be the best ball handler on the team. Like he can get suffocated with long arms, but he has that thing on a string and he can shoot free throws and make the right play.
Yeah, one thing with him that I also found interesting, I believe it was game 2, like when he was hot, like Marcus Smart was on the bench and they let Pritchard kind of ride out his hot streak.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though it was like getting near the end of the game where the closing lineup should have been in.
Right.
And they kind of waited for Pritchard to kind of cool off a little bit. Like he missed a shot and he like kind of got out of his flow a little bit. Then they subbed him out at just the right time. Like he didn't wait too long, way too early. Like I've just been super impressed with Ime.
And Marcus has got full strength to come, close a strong 4 minutes or whatever it was.
And he's not gonna be the guy that's gonna be like upset about that. Like he comes in, he's like, good. I'm gonna take a breather during these playoffs because as the rounds get closer, it's probably getting less and less. We've been able to be fortunate enough that we can really expose these guys offensively with switches and just their poor defenders that they have. So,
and that comes to one of the points I wanted to bring up. I know Tatum played 45 minutes game 1, 41 minutes game 2. I didn't check the numbers. Let me find it real quick on last night's game, but he played. He's like our main guys are playing a lot of minutes. And do you think that there's going to be some sort of situation? Tatum played 45 minutes last night. Marcus Smart 38, Jaylen Brown 38. Grant played 32 minutes last night.
Grant's been balling. Like he's been playing incredible.
Yeah. Do you think it's there's going to be some sort of adverse effect as we get closer? Milwaukee's another. I know we've pointed out that they're sort of a middle of the road defensive team, but they're also a physical team. I mean, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Giannis.
He's kind of their anchor, and he's been out for a lot of this year. No, like that's why I think it is important we close out this game in 4 so we have that time to rest rather than stretching out the series and continue to have to play these guys big minutes.
Yeah.
One other note I had from game 3 was that was just a perfect transition game for Rob. He got his block, he got his dunk. He didn't have to play a ton. It was relatively stress-free, and all the, reports are no issues, could have played more, feels good.
Yeah. He looked healthy.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at those first 2 games, even obviously Rob's a great defender, but even just the extra fouls and minutes is huge. Like Tyson and Al have been in a little bit of foul trouble. Even just having 6 more fouls at our expense, we're a different team. Because we're playing good D, but it's hard defense. And the whistle.
Absolutely. It's grueling. Like
it's grueling.
Yeah. I mean, just watching like it. The broadcast did a good job last night of pointing it out. Like 108 personal fouls in 2 games before last night. I mean, that's I've never heard that number before. Like it's a physical game. Guys are rolling around on the floor, like you saw Tatum crashing his stanchion twice in the fourth quarter, like hard fouls, hard cuts to the rim that end up with sort of like an off balance layup. And it's got to wear on these guys. So Matt, you're exactly right. This series needs to go no more than 2 more games. Right.
Maybe a gentleman's sweep, but yeah, definitely don't want us going more than 5 because we need to get these guys a rest, especially against Milwaukee, who's going to be another physical team. Obviously, Giannis is going to be grueling. He's going to demand that same physical defense that we're seeing a lot with Kevin Durant, in a different way, though, of course.
Yeah.
And it's good to see Rob back, like you said. That was a real surprise. It's funny that Rob was able to get back before Ben Simmons was. I don't know if he plays. I don't know what the point is. Now you're down 3. I don't know what the point of him coming back is. And it seems like his team
plays and is fucking miserable, and that's how everyone thinks of him for the whole offseason.
Based on Bruce Brown's comments, it doesn't seem like everyone really knows what's his deal. Like Bruce Brown's like, I have no idea. Speaking of Bruce,
what was the Bruce Brown comment?
He was just like, they asked him if they think Ben Simmons is gonna play today. He's like, honestly, dude, I have no idea. or play on Monday. Bruce Brown's been the best player, I think, for the Nets in the series, though. Like, I know,
100%.
I thought it was funny. I just wanted to mention that. He's really emerged as a guy that looks like a solid, at least like starting piece. But yeah, I feel pretty confident that we're gonna win this series now that we're up 3-0. So we
What
can
a hot
begin.
take.
Yeah, I mean, we can begin. I think now. I think we can set our sights as a fan base looking ahead for Milwaukee. Hopefully, get our guys rested up and really focus the game plan containing Giannis. I think the basketball gods are looking in our favor right now too, because we didn't try and tank for that 3
No
or 4.
kidding. That's a whole nother point. Like everyone was scared of these clowns, and we're just gonna sweep them.
Yeah.
I think the basketball gods are looking favorably. We don't have any major injuries going right now, and some of the other teams like Embiid's hurt, Middleton's hurt. The two teams that tried to avoid the Nets, they have two of their better players hurt. I'm just saying, like I think the basketball gods are looking favorably upon us.
Speaking of Embiid, Woj 10 minutes ago, Embiid will require surgery to address the torn ligaments in his right thumb, but that procedure will wait until after the Sixers season.
Yeah, it's affecting him though. Like he didn't look himself. Yeah. He only 21 points last night. He'd been dominating the Raptors the first 3 games of the series. So if he's injured, it's only going to get worse if he's not obviously doing anything to stop it, to help it. So hopefully by the time if we do face him in the Eastern Conference Finals, hopefully by that time it's just been brutal and we can once again we have a good Embiid stopper now. We have Rob who can play solid on him. I really like our chances in that series too. It's really looking good for the Celtics. Like I can't hold you. Like I'm getting overly optimistic right now because everything seems to be falling in the Celtics' favor. I'm very excited.
Well, yeah, let's close this series out tomorrow and look forward to Milwaukee. Okay. Or I guess go Chicago in the meantime.
Go Hawks too.
Yeah, I'm cheering for the Hawks as well.
Extend those series 7 games. We want to see tire them out.
Yeah.
Okay. See you, boys.
See you guys.